All right, so today we're diving into a story that's, well, it's more than just a boxing story. This is about a guy who took on an opponent that nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever beaten. Time itself. This is the incredible saga of Bernard Hopkins. Let's get into it. So, where does a story like this even begin? Well, for this one, we have to go back. Back to the 1980s inside Graterford Prison. And it starts with a prediction, more like a dismissal, really. A guard looks at this young inmate in for strong-arm robbery and basically writes him off with those exact words. Just another statistic.
But here's the thing. That inmate was Bernard Hopkins. And that comment, it didn't break him. Instead, something clicked. Right there, he made a silent promise to himself. He discovered boxing inside that prison yard, and he decided that the ring wasn't just going to be a sport for him. No, it was going to be his ticket out, his path to a totally different life.
So how in the world do you go from a prison cell to becoming one of the all-time greats in boxing? Well, for Hopkins, that entire journey, that transformation, it actually started with a failure.
That's right. His very first professional fight in 1988, he lost. Now, for most aspiring fighters, that's it. That's a dream killer right there. But for Hopkins, that loss became the foundation, the very bedrock, for a level of discipline that is, frankly, unbelievable. So what was his secret sauce? How did he do it? It all came down to this almost monk-like lifestyle he adopted. I'm talking famously strict. No alcohol, no junk food, no late nights, ever. And this wasn't some fad he was trying out. This was a deep, lifelong commitment. It's the very thing that let him keep his body in a condition that just, well, it defied biology. And what did all that extreme discipline get him? For starters, how about reigning as the undisputed king of the middleweight division for a solid decade? That's 10 years. 10 years at the absolute pinnacle of one of the toughest divisions in the sport. And during that incredible 10-year reign, get this, he made 20 consecutive successful title defenses. That is a record for the middleweight division that pretty much carved his name into the history books right then and there. But see, his physical shape was only part of the equation. If you really want to understand what made Bernard Hopkins so great, you have to look at his mind. The guy was a genius, a master tactician who, a lot of the time, had already won the fight before he even stepped through the ropes. Just look at his career-defining fight back in 2001. He's up against this absolute monster, the undefeated knockout artist Felix Tito Trinidad. Hopkins was the massive underdog. Seriously, nobody, and I mean nobody, was giving him a shot.
And this right here, this is the essence of the Hopkins style. He was the ultimate psychological tactician. He didn't just try to outpunch you, nah. He got inside your head. He picked apart your game plan and just completely neutralized whatever it was you did best. And that is precisely what he did to Trinidad. That fight was a masterclass. It was a clinic in strategy. He frustrated him, he controlled him, and in the end, he completely dominated one of the most feared punchers on the planet to become the undisputed middleweight champion. As amazing as that victory was, believe it or not, the most mind-blowing chapter of his entire story hadn't even happened yet. And it all started at an age when most professional athletes are enjoying a very comfortable retirement.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's staggering. From turning pro in '88 all the way to his final fight at 51 years old. His career wasn't just long, he was competing and winning at the absolute highest level for decades. Okay, get this. In 2011, at 46 years old, 46, he goes out and beats Jean Pascal. And in doing so, he becomes the oldest fighter in the history of boxing to win a major world title. He shattered a record that the legendary George Foreman held. Just incredible. But wait, he wasn't finished. Are you kidding me? 2 years later, at the age of 48, he does it again. He wins another world title and breaks his own record. It's just insane. You have to understand, fighting at that elite level until you're 51 years old it was unheard of. He wasn't just hanging around. He was in there beating world-class athletes who were literally half his age. It was something the sports world had never, ever seen before, and honestly, we may never see it again. So when it's all said and done, what is the lasting legacy of Bernard Hopkins, the man they called the Executioner? Well, it's a story that reaches so much farther than just the four corners of a boxing ring.
I mean, his story is one of the greatest comeback stories, one of the greatest transformations in all of sports. From an inmate at Graterford Prison with a grim future to a legendary champion, a respected businessman, and a true icon of discipline. He left the sport with his health and his money, which, as you know, is a sad rarity for so many fighters.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? His greatest victory wasn't against Trinidad or any other man in the ring. His greatest victory was over the limits that we all just assume are unbreakable. He proved that the mind, when it's armed with that kind of unwavering discipline, can actually beat the one opponent that nobody ever escapes: age.
And that's what the story of Bernard Hopkins leaves us with. It's this really powerful question. He showed the entire world that with enough will, enough discipline, the finish line isn't set by a clock or a calendar. It's set by you. So the only real question left is, where are you going to draw yours?